Good morning, this is Vicky.
And this is Jo.
And we're the Two Natural Ladies.
And we talk about the good news we all need and ways of getting the most out of life.
We help people with practical, uplifting ways we can all make a difference.
And we're striving for better, not perfect.
And we love a good laugh. Please enjoy the show. And you're with the Two Natural Ladies. We both took a breath at the same time. And we've got Meryl Sukumar with us. Welcome, Meryl.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you for having me.
Now, Vicky, or Meryl, how did we find out about you? I think a friend or somebody.
Yeah, I'm going to shout out to my friend Melissa Cara. She's a legend, and she came across your station and said, "Why don't you get in touch with these ladies? I think they have a lot in common." And so I did, and I'm so thrilled that I did.
There you go. And so we're not even going to introduce you anymore because you're going to tell us all about it. But what I love is how sustainability is financially lucrative. So here we go. What is the systems approach for businesses regarding sustainability?
So, look, before I tell you exactly what it is,
yes.
I think a story is really fitting.
Beautiful. We love stories.
There's this ancient Sufi story, and it's basically about this king who arrives one day at the front of his army, sitting on a great giant elephant, and the people are looking at the elephant, really amazed by this big creature that they've seen. And there are a few blind men in the community, and obviously, they can't see the elephant, and they go up to touch the elephant to understand it. And one man who touches the trunk claims that it is a giant snake, while another man who touches the legs of the elephant claims that it is as sturdy as a tree trunk. And of course, bickering breaks out amongst these blind men, and they can't come to terms with what the animal actually is. And so it's just really fitting with what a systems approach is about, because a systems approach requires you to understand all the parts of the elephant, aka the system, in order to completely address and respond to the issues and challenges that come up. And so a systems approach is looking at everything when you make a decision and not just putting on a Band-Aid solution to your problems. Similarly with sustainability issues that come up in business. So yeah, that's I guess also a description of what a systems
that's
approach is.
perfect.
It is.
Yeah.
And I really love the whole thing about looking, that sometimes businesses need to shift from looking at reducing cost and then looking at improving efficiency. So sometimes just looking at reducing cost is not the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess the thing is, when I say, the benefits, the economic, social benefits of a systems approach and looking at sustainability in your business, yes, there's the financial payback, but that's not everything. There's so many more benefits, such as reducing your risk profile. That's such a key thing in businesses, especially big corporates. Risk is everything. It's how they make all their decisions, whether they say yes or no to tenders, even whether they say yes or no to hiring people. Reducing your risk profile through sustainability is intrinsic, and so that's one key benefit. There's improved resilience and longevity in the operations itself as well. So that's another really great benefit of embedding sustainability. And some of the really great things around adopting these practices is people feel more aligned with the business. Something like 70% of people are relying on big businesses to make these decisions for them because they want the business to help guide them in the products that they buy, being more sustainable, etc. And so if people feel that your business is purpose aligned with sustainability, they feel more inclined, one, to buy from you, but also to work for you and support you. So there's that recognition in the community and the awards and the accolades that also come with adopting sustainability.
If people can feel like they can just pay for something or go to work and know that they're making a bigger difference in the world,
yes,
it's going to work.
It is. It is.
Well, I mean, it's fascinating, actually. I'm sure you guys are super passionate about what you do. I know from talking to you are.
Yes, we are.
But something like 33% of people, and this is a PwC report, so maybe different, but thereabouts, only 33% of people are really connected with what their business is doing and actually feel purpose aligned and purpose led in their business.
Wow.
So that's quite low.
It is. Yeah.
You want everybody to be happy with what they're doing every day.
Yes. Absolutely. And you would talk about, I'm sure, reduce, reuse, upcycle, all of that, yeah?
Yeah, in terms of efficiency, how you approach efficiency.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think, and so this applies kind of broadly to sustainability. The approach for all businesses should always be hierarchical because, everybody's fascinated by renewables, for example. Why don't we throw on some solar panels? That's always a great idea. But the reality is that might not be the most, cost-effective idea, but also most operationally effective idea. So it's always about looking at how do you reduce your consumption in your current operations. So looking at even just low technology options like fixing leaks or replacing faulty pipes or wiring, and so essentially reducing the inefficiencies in the process. And then you look at how do you reuse some of your wasted materials. So, I can't think of a really good example. I guess, the mushroom example is always good in mushroom manufacturing. It's a really key example of the circular economy is where the mushroom waste is then used for animal feed in the agricultural industry, or the substrates are then used to regrow more mushrooms. So it's quite circular. And so how do you reuse waste material? It's probably the next step. And then you go on to upcycling your system to make it better and upgrading it with the higher technology options such as higher efficiency chiller systems, or putting on things like solar panels that completely substitute your energy consumption from standard grid energy. And finally, you look at, I'm thinking of the waste cycle, but no, I think that's the final step really. It's that upcycling and recycling of your system.
It's amazing.
So
yes.
So in a business model sense, so what do you mean when you say shift from stakeholder to people-led?
Stakeholder-led to people-led.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I meant to say.
So what I'm saying is traditionally business models are stakeholder-led because the stakeholders, which are usually other business units or market units that affect the business decision-making, that's sort of the traditional business model. And so because people are more invested now in the choices they make, in the products they buy, the services they buy, and companies are listening to that and the pressure coming from the community, people-led businesses is the way of the future because these are the business models that have accountability and power to integrate what the people want, and the model that will actually allow them to thrive in this new economy, this economy that's very much driven by the people. And, even back to that survey that I was mentioning that was done by PwC, it's something like 79% of business leaders currently think that they're doing enough and being purpose-led and purpose-driven, but somewhere around 68% of them actually shared that their decision-making process is not aligned with the purpose of the business. So right now, a lot of businesses aren't actually really realistically being purpose and people-led because, their decision-making processes are not aligned with what they're saying their purpose is, because they might publicly say their purpose is this and this in terms of sustainability, but they're not actually making decisions towards that effectively yet.
Yeah, so it's an integrity thing too, isn't it? It's actually, we were talking about that too before. That and when we're in integrity, whether it's a business or a person, things work. Whereas obviously when you're at cross purposes, which really they are, because they're saying one thing and doing another, it won't be as effective.
Well, and we're setting up, I mean, it's interesting now that we're talking about it, why we would set up a system or a model that doesn't work for anybody, including the people who have set it up. Like it's turning a head-led thing into a heart-led thing that will actually pay off for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which perfectly brings... Oh, sorry, go on.
Go on. No, that's okay. Go on.
No, I was just going to say, because the next words I'm seeing are pioneering, reputation, accolades, which is perfect.
Yeah, I guess, the point I was just going to make is, well, people are wanting to pay more and are willing to even pay more than 10% the usual benchmark price for their services and goods if they feel that company or their business that they're supporting is people-led and purpose-led and therefore, pioneering into this new economy that we're talking about, this disruptive, innovative economy, because the way that businesses are going to thrive now is not by sitting back and waiting for governments to say, hey, we're going to give you some money. They really need to do it on their own and get to that edge off the cliff and say that they're at the front and leading in their industry and constantly looking at their internals and reviewing and recreating, redesigning, innovating the way they're doing things in order for them to be relevant in society, because it's very easy to win at small efficiencies and small successes. It's very easy to keep kind of working at small successes, but what they really need to do is destroy the old way and create a new way and do it all over again.
Yeah.
Every sort of...
It's really interesting because we recently came in touch with, through a guy called Damon Gamo, who you might know from 2040. He was sharing about a new coffee cup that is edible. And it's two Melbourne women, and they've created this thing called, their organisation or business is called Good Eddy, and the way they're getting things happening is through crowdfunding, and we're actually going to get them on to talk about what they're up to. But to me, that's what they're doing is so innovative, and how they're doing it. I can't wait to speak to them. But that's when you were talking, I thought, wow, there's a perfect example of one way you can be innovative to create something that is very sustainable.
Yeah, I mean, I love that these are popping up. I also can hear, though, even in very traditional kind of businesses, it sounds like, Meryl, you can go in there and help any business, even if they're not an environmental business, like really make a huge difference to everybody.
Yeah, I would love to agree and say yes. I do hope I can. And really, it's not about working with the businesses that provide the environmental services necessarily. It's about working with any business to change the way they're doing things, because it's fascinating. I mean, not just traditional manufacturing businesses, the ones that are the biggest energy consumers, and the ones that need the most attention. It's just so many businesses that you can help become more sustainable and start to align their strategy and their framework so that it's aligned with their purpose and making decisions towards a more sustainable, climate diligent future. So, yeah, absolutely.
And like you say, what you were saying before, I heard paradigm shift. Like literally, let's just leave that over there, that business model, and let's move over here and we'll start a new one.
I love that. I love that word.
Yes. And then we've got other lovely words here: resilience and longevity. So that would be
those are great words.
Yeah, and so that would be for the business and for the results that they're creating. Yeah,
to do with how ready their business is for the changing future, both physically as well as legislatively, legally, financially. How are they ready for all of those sort of very hard changes, but also the community pressures as well? So obviously there'll be those structural pressures from legislation and the legal changes and so on, but also the community that's constantly changing and demanding more of them. So how are they more resilient and ready for those changes? And that essentially, by embedding that resilience, they are improving the longevity of their business operations. And I guess a practical example of that is really if you look at the maintenance of a chiller unit in a building. If you're not improving the resilience of that chiller unit and making sure that it is going to last beyond its standard 25 years by looking at better maintenance procedures, then it's not ready to respond to the growing demand of, say, the hotel's clientele and the change in the demographic as well of the hotel clientele, whatever it may be. So it's about essentially embedding it into the way that the business operates so that they're more resilient and ready for those changes.
It's making the leap though, isn't it? Because initially it might look more costly, but the result is more income. So ultimately, well, that would be, I think, what you're aiming for here. Well, the other thing I wanted to say, Meryl, I'm really getting into this conversation. I didn't realise it would be so much. But the laws and legislation and lobbying, I would imagine if businesses are trying to make grassroots kind of changes, then they'd be bumping up against existing laws, and then they might need to be lobbying. Do you think?
No, so not necessarily. I mean, the thing is, a lot of so I think it kind of ties into the other point I wanted to make on what you said last, and that it's not actually a cost. It's not an expensive exercise, to be honest. A lot of the times when you look at improving things at the low-hanging spots, you can actually leverage savings, whether it's explicitly money or through other ways that you're leveraging on economic savings in your business. You can actually then leverage that to I guess, the higher cost exercises towards your sustainable goals. So in actual fact, if you take a stepwise approach, you can kind of avoid the costs that come with it.
Okay, and really work within the framework we already have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So no, a lot of times they don't have to lobby because they can really kind of do everything on their own, and not necessarily everything, but at least some of it, depending on the size of the business. Yeah.
Okay.
Look, we want to just thank you so much for what you're doing and for coming on our show. And we'd love people to know how they can get in touch with you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So my business is Subcintus Consulting, and they can email me at Meryl Sukumar at subcintus.com.au to get in touch. It's SUBCINCTUS, and it's Subcintus, and it's a Latin word for shift.
Beautiful.
Right.
That's what my
love
business is about.
Yes. Beautiful. Love it.
Oh, well, I think it's a great service to have for businesses who really want to embrace and make a huge difference to all involved.
We'll certainly be going around going, have you heard of Subcintus? Have you heard of Meryl Sukumar? Great. Well, here's her name.
Yes.
Here's her number. Get onto it. Now, you've picked a wonderful song, Michael Jackson's Earth Song, which we actually got somebody to put onto the our music cart so that we could play it. Tell us why you love this song.
Okay, wonderful. Well, to me, this song, it's a very haunting melody, and it's really about human beings and just our kind of unrelenting, it's a little bit scary, but it's our unrelenting pursuit of wealth, power, a legacy in this world, and it's usually at the cost and detriment of the physical resources available to us, the natural resources that are available to us. So it really captures kind of the deeper, sad and darker side of our current actions. And so, I mean, it is a little bit sad, but, there's always the silver lining, and really we're not too far in that we can't make a change right now.
Absolutely. Well, look, again, thank you, Meryl, for your time. And
thank you so much.
We'll definitely get you back on in 12 months' time or something, and when everything's opened up more and we can find out what's been happening.
Yeah, what differences, what businesses are out there that we can support.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Vicky and Joe. I love being on.
Well, we've loved having you on,
Yes.
and have a wonderful day.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Two Natural Ladies podcast. Visit twonaturalladies.com.au for more information. Thanks for joining us.